Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Will, and today we're going to be talking about how absolutely god-awful Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn truly is. And I'll be straight up with you guys right out of the gate. It's fine. It's a good story. But I guess a lot of where the negative connotation from the story comes from is actually from the player base, to be honest with you. So people who have played through A Realm Reborn and beyond, into Heaven's Ward, into Stormblood, into Shadowbringers, are comparing A Realm Reborn and giving the feedback about that content based on what they're used to experiencing in the later expansions. So, unlike World of Warcraft, for you World of Warcraft players that are considering playing Final Fantasy, the game actually continues to get better and better and better generationally. So a lot of people look back on A Realm Reborn fondly as a good shout out to the past, because a lot of future content is reliant on knowledge of previous content. So there is call-outs or callbacks and shout-outs to previous content in the game. So it's important that you experience it at the very minimum, just so you know what the heck is going on later. But beyond that, the actual story for itself is pretty decent. It's not a bad story. It's enjoyable as a first playthrough, especially for people who have never experienced a Final Fantasy story. It's interesting to kind of get some insight into the universe, into the way some of the mindset of Final Fantasy creators is. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have never played a Final Fantasy game that went right into 14 and then now have played 4 or 5, 6 Final Fantasy games because they enjoyed the content. So a lot of the character development, a lot of the world building, a lot of that actually comes from the story, as it should, and it is good, enjoyable, and you will most likely, not guaranteed, but most likely will look back on your time in A Realm Reborn as a fond memory. So I myself have actually played through A Realm Reborn more than once, and it's because I originally played this game in 2013, or I think it was 2013 when it launched on PlayStation 3. I played through it, played it all the way to max level over a very long period of time, like over a year and a half, because I was still really big into Call of Duty and stuff back then, so when my buddies were on, I was playing COD, and then when they weren't on, I was playing Final Fantasy with myself and my brother. So it took me quite a while to actually progress through the whole story, and, you know, working and all that stuff, all that jazz gets in the way of it. So it took me quite a while to actually finish Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn as a storyline. So when I switched to PC, I actually wasn't aware in the first place that you could transfer your account to PC as like a one-time transfer thing. So I started from scratch, which was fine by me because I was able to enjoy the story much faster in a much quicker succession and really get a grasp of what was going on. But as the only content I had played in terms of the story, I thought it was fine. I thought the cutscenes were interesting. I was ready for them. There is some pretty big lulls between cutscenes, and I'm not at all pretending like the in-between story building isn't a drudge sometimes, because it is. They definitely, I feel like they took a lot of inspiration from World of Warcraft, as they should, because they literally played it in order to develop the game. Yoshida said, hey, if you want to make a good game, my staff's going to play World of Warcraft. They can learn what an MMO is. And they did, and you'll notice that a lot in the earlier iterations of the campaign. So most of A Realm Reborn, if not all of it, there's a lot of that drudgy fetch quest, go here, talk to this person, run across the world, talk to this person, run back, talk to this person. That stuff does definitely happen, and it goes away in the later expansions, and I think that's why a lot more positive feedback in the later expansions, because even though the story is really good later, I wouldn't say it's exceptionally better. I just think it's more well told, and it's better laid out in front of you. So there's less time between major events, stuff like that, that makes the story more tangible, more exciting. There's times in A Realm Reborn where you'll go a chunk of time, and by a chunk of time, I mean literally like 20, 30 minutes between important dialogue. And a couple of bits of advice while I got you here, I would definitely recommend, if you're at that person that's not enjoying the campaign and you just kind of want to get to the end game stuff, you want to see what Final Fantasy really offers in terms of skilling and in terms of raiding and dungeon runs and stuff like that, still pay attention to the story. Anything that has what are called Scions of the Seventh Dawn, so if you've never played it, you'll meet them. In fact, you're seeing some of them here in this cutscene going on up here. I'm pointing over here because that's where the screen is, but some of the cutscenes up here, you'll recognize some of these people as you start the game. It's just kind of a rule of thumb. If one of them is involved in the content, pay attention. If you do not have one of these people in the story, like in the dialogue, you could probably drudge through it. You could probably skip past it, because it's most likely not going to be that impactful on your end game knowledge. It is very good for developing the races and the different tribes in the world, because you will basically, the cookie cutter A Realm Reborn is big story plot, go help this tribe with something, fight boss. Story plot, go help this tribe with something, fight boss. And you'll learn a lot about the tribes of the world, the different races, or like, they call them beast tribes, so the different like sentient beasts in this game, beyond like just the humanoid figures. Like you have like fairies, they're called sylphs and stuff like that, that are alive and they affect the world and they're intelligent. It teaches you about those places, the individual spots of the world, all that kind of stuff. So it is useful lore, it is good information to have, but if you're kind of just trying to cruise through and you just want to get the nitty gritty stuff, if it has a scion in it, pay attention. And that'll get you through the campaign and get you a good knowledge base of what's happening. So when you move into like Heaven's Ward and you start to get into some really cool stuff, you know what the heck is going on. But I'm here to say, not promise you, but as you progress and you learn more about the game, I'm pretty confident. Again, I'm not going to guarantee. I'm pretty confident that it will grow on you. The story will grow on you. The characters will grow on you. You'll start to have favorite scions, least favorite scions. Things like that will, kind of draw you into the world somewhat. And although it may not be the most mind-boggling campaign you've ever played in your life, it is going to be enjoyable for people who actually pay attention to it and like story games. So if you come from World of Warcraft and you played it because you didn't give a crap about anything besides the end game, there's a chance that it might just feel mind-numbingly terrible to you. But for the most part, if you're a person that has any, minute interest in what the heck is going on in the game, you will probably enjoy playing even A Realm Reborn on its own. Will give you some joy, will teach you some cool stuff, and will get you excited for future content. Like most MMOs, they struggle, at the beginning. It's slow, dredgy content, lots of fetch quests, things like that as you develop the world. Literally the job of all this fetching is to send you around and show you what the world has to offer. It doesn't necessarily have to be super exciting to be okay content. And that's really how to sum it up. So Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn as a campaign is a perfectly fine story. It'll teach you about the world. It'll teach you about the universe. It'll teach you about the things you need to know in order to really be immersed in the world. And there will be some really cool scenes. Even in Realm Reborn, there's some cutscenes that flash back to me constantly that are really awesome, that I really like seeing for the first time. And I hope you have the same view and the same feel of it. And that's really all I had for you guys. So thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.